What's cracking, everyone? My name is Eric, and today we are taking yet another crack at. Today is going to be modeling. So last time we covered on basics, and now we will further expand on the basics and show you how to actually practically do stuff. So what we learned from last video is great as a starter's guide, and you can do stuff with it, but there isn't much to be there. So we'll create a new project. Once again, I apologize for that. If you already have one, then you can get started for that. So today's video is going to be all about how to build more advanced, how we use the more advanced functions, and how to, as well as we also touch a bit on solid modeling. So first of all, I'm just going to make the base plate some green grass. This isn't anything you need to do in particular. I just think it looks absolutely lovely. So I'm just going to do that. Great. So today we'll mainly be focusing on the model tab. So remember last time we talked about how we have the toolbar up here, and then the toolbar is split into 5 different sections. So last time we took a crack at the most important home settings, even though home is already like the tab for the most important tools, which are the most important or the most used of the most used. So now we'll head on over to model tab. You'll notice we have our tools here. So we covered our 4 main tools. There's actually one I lied to you about and completely neglected, but that doesn't matter that much. And then we have a few more right here. Constraints and joint surfaces we won't talk about that much. However, collision will come important a little later. So why don't we take a crack? So we'll start by creating our block. Because I just set the base plate to be grass and green, this part is also green grass. So I'm just going to change that. And once again, I've moved to the model tab. So, right, let's just make this. I'm just going to make it some great piece of plastic. Actually, no. Let's go a little more advanced. I'm going to insert a cylinder. Scale. Great, so it's up to scale. So this is going to be like a long tunnel. So let's just make that like plastic, and then make it like, no, that's too dark. Gray. Hold on, I'm actually sorry. My bad. But I'm actually gonna make it plastic. There we go. So okay, so let's first talk about the last tool that I neglected. So this is the transform tool. It isn't really anything in particular. It just combines the 3 we talked about last time. So you can drag these to scale, and it also actually gives you an indicator of how big it is. I actually didn't talk about this, but studs is the unit used to measure in Roblox Studio. So a character is about 7 studs high, I believe. I'm not so sure, but yeah, studs is the unit used to measure in Roblox Studio. So here we can actually rotate it, and it actually gives us a preview before we do the rotation. However, I'm not going to do anything, so there we go. And we can, of course, also move, however, only up and down. So now that that's covered, we can cover the collision. So over time, we will cover more and more shortcuts. But there aren't a lot in Roblox Studio. However, last time we talked about Control Z, but now we're going to talk about Control D. So if I have one, let's call this the tunnel. So once we say Control D, this duplicates. Control D, hold down Control and then press D. So this duplicates the part, gives an exact copy of it, and it's also called tunnel. So we'll just name this second tunnel, so we can tell the 2 apart in the Explorer. So you'll notice that we can't these can't be in each other. This is also why when we duplicate it, it goes on top, because it can't stay inside. So it just goes to the nearest location which it can stay in, which is on top. So collisions. Collisions. When we have this on, which should have on by standard, is this collision. The fact that 2 blocks in Studio will collide. If we turn this off, and I say Control D, you'll notice that it actually doesn't duplicate. However, if you took a look at Explorer, you'll notice that it did actually duplicate. However, then you might be asking, so why doesn't it show here? So that's because it did duplicate. However, it's in the other tunnel. Cylinder or tunnel, whatever you want to call it. So I could just drag it out. So this is because collisions is off, so they won't collide in Studio, and you'll notice that they can be inside each other like this. This will cause some issues with Z fighting, which is basically when two blocks overlap. So you'll notice that if I make this part, let's make it like blue. No, actually, let's make it like really bright red. So, and the other tunnel is gonna be really bright blue. So, hold on. Right, so you'll notice that when I move this, they actually kind of overlap. So this is because they're in this exact same location, and this is called, Z fighting. Right, so I'm just going to return this normal tunnel, and second tunnel is also going to be that. So let's drag the second tunnel out. Right, so next up, let's head on over to the model tab. So that's collisions. For now, let's keep it on. Right now, this is the snaps grid. So you'll notice that we move it one set at a time. This is our move increment. However, if I want to move it more precisely, I can choose to move it 0.5 or half a stat at the time. So you'll notice that this is a little more fine movement than if I say one. So it moves one stat at a time. If I do this, it moves half stat at a time. So this way you can be more precise. Right. Yeah, and this also goes to scaling. So this doesn't just move. Yeah. So you'll notice that when I scale, it also goes one stat at a time because my increment is one stat at a time. So it changes to 0.5 will also change the scaling to 0.5. You guys probably get it. So also we have a check mark here. This just enables this increment reset. If we remove this, if we disable this increment reset, this is free movement. So you'll notice that now it doesn't move by any increment. Now it moves absolutely freely, which can be great. Now, moving freely and moving with increments really depends on the type of thing you're doing. Each has its own pros and cons, so you really just need to evaluate on the situation. So, rotate is the exact same thing. So right now it rotates 45 degrees at a time. Yeah, wait, I'm wrong. It was already at 45, so you can notice I can set it to 45. However, I can also set it to 10, which gives us a lot more finer increments. And just like with the move increment and scale increment, I can completely disable it and rotate it just freely. So let's put that back on, and that's that done. So now that's done, let's head on over to solid modeling. So, like before, I said this would be a tunnel. So, however, it doesn't really look like a tunnel. The main problem being that it's completely solid. So I want to hollow it out. So, what I'm gonna do to do this, we don't really have any primary shape to like carve it out. So you could make it out of a lot of fine blocks, but that would take absolute ages. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a shape and carve that shape out of this of a main cylinder. So to carve it out, I first this is going to be the shape I'm going to carve out. So I want a hole. However, if you think about it, these are the exact same size. So this will completely disappear. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scale it one in on each side so that the tunnel has a border. Sorry, it drops out against right there, so I'm just gonna. So sometimes it welds to the base plate. I have issues with this, so as you notice, I couldn't really move it. So all you need to do to fix this is just disable collisions. So I'll disable collisions and scale it one in on each side. Right, and there we go. So now it's one stud in on each side compared to the main tunnel. So this is going to be the shape I'm going to carve out of the main shape. Also, I'd recommend making it a bit longer on each side, just one stud to counteract Z fighting. So just before I talked about Z fighting, and this could cause an issue where this front part is actually not going to be carved out, so it looks completely solid and you can't insert it. So make it a bit longer than the main shape. It doesn't really affect anything else, so I strongly recommend doing it. So now we're ready. So if we hop on over to the solid modeling tab, we can say negate. So once we've selected this and negated it, it's a negative part. Now we can't scale it, but it scales on all sides, so it doesn't scale like on that axis alone. So yeah, if you don't know what that means, just make sure you have the right size, material, and everything, and all other properties right, and then negate it. So now that it's negated, you'll notice that this is called a negative part, and it has a negative part icon. So I actually didn't talk about this in the basics part, but each object has a different icon depending on what kind of part it is. Right, so collisions is off. So yeah, these two can overlap. However, enabling collisions also work because of how negative parts work, as you can see right here. So yeah, but that's really your choice. I'd recommend taking collisions off just to keep it cleaner. So now these two are overlapping. So now we can use the select tool. Clicking on here so that we don't, so we aren't selecting anything, we can drag this and create this little box. So now we make sure this box covers these two parts. So these two parts are now selected. Now that these two parts are selected, we can union them. So unioning two parts basically melts or like welds, sorry, melts is a bad word, like welds them into one part. So if I had, let's say, so I'm not gonna do it because that would take too much time. But let's say now I have two parts, as you can see. So they're two different parts. However, if I decided to union them, they would become one long part. However, the reason why we needed negative parts for this is because whenever you union a negative part with something else, the negative part will like erase anything that it overlaps. So right now it's overlapping the middle, so that's what it's going to carve out or delete. So we select these two and press the union. So you'll notice that everything in the main tunnel that the negative part overlap with, it has not disappeared. So we can use this to create a lot of more advanced shapes. You'll also notice that this became one part because that's how union works. So right, yeah, so that is solid modeling, and then the last thing we have is separate. You won't need this, you won't use this much, but this is like basically undoing your action. Separating is just like splitting the union up into all the different parts it was made of to begin with. So if I say actually no, I don't want to make a tunnel out of this union, I can just say separate, and boom, there we have it all. Great, so let's just union it and call it a tunnel, right? So rename it and tunnel. Oh, by the way, I didn't talk about this, but in each object in the Explorer, you can also right-click it to do different things. You can say delete, duplicate, or rename. If you forgot the shortcut, you can just use this. And also, I should have talked about this before actually, but now we'll talk about grouping. So let's make a really primitive house. So this is gonna be a mini house. Um, so I'm notice that I'm duplicating this to speed up the process because the two holes on each side are similar. So right, so here we have four walls for a mini house. If you do make a house, please make it better than this because this isn't a particularly pretty house. So let's just turn collisions on again. There we go. Right, so we now have a beautiful, beautiful roof. So we now have a house, but the problem is I want the house as one thing. So we can't really, well, we can union our way to a house, so we get it as one part, but that's going to be so damn hard. The house consists of 5 different parts, so multiple parts. That's the point, and we want to make it into one entity. So just like unioning, you select everything, and then you can say Control G, or you can right click either here or in the Explorer. So you can either right click here or you can right click here. Either way, right click on it and then say group. So now that you've grouped it, you'll notice a few things. So this is one model now. So this basically turns it into a thing. So, and then we also have an object called model. So you'll notice that this model contains the house. So we can just rename this model house. So a model doesn't really exist in the workspace. It's just a binder because last time we talked about parenting. So you'll notice that all the parts that actually make up the house itself that exist in the workspace are under this model. So this model doesn't really exist physically. Don't mind it too much. This basically means that it just binds all the parts together. So you can just close this so that it acts. So the model Sorry, I'm rambling a bit here, but the model just makes it act all the parts make all the parts act like one big part, like one single object. However, if you want to select individual pieces, you can open it up and select the parts. Also, I have things under the parts. This is just something that happens automatically, which are wells. Don't mind those too much. Right, so now that that's done, so yeah, this is the model, and as I said, you can then select it. And once again, you can right click it and say ungroup to, well, split it into the parts that it made again. So the difference between model and union is, unions are used for simpler parts. They aren't used for like collections of parts. They're just used to make usually more intricate, or sorry, more advanced pieces or parts. So in this case, I just want to make a more complex part. So I used unioning and solid modeling. However, with the house, this isn't any particular part. I just want one big thing called the house, which consists of multiple parts. So I'm gonna group that. Another major difference is that the union actually acts as one. You'll notice that this is actually one object. Yeah, it is pretty similar to models in the way that you can separate them or ungroup them, but here it acts as one object and it is only one part, which you can see here. So this doesn't consist of anything else. It's just noted as one part, whereas in the model, you can just open it up and find the parts you need. So yeah, that's going to do it for solid modeling. With this, it's mainly all about practice. So yeah, we've talked about pretty much anything. Surface, we can talk about that quickly. This just adds a surface to something. So using the surface tools, we can select the surface, we can make glue. So yeah, that one surface that you've seen on every basic Tycoon from 2016. But yeah, I'm just gonna go back to smooth, smooth that out again, and then dislike that. So that's how surfaces work. So that should be everything for the modeling within the model tab. So yeah, with this you can start creating pretty advanced. So map design is pretty special. So yeah, if also if you're unsure, map design is like the concept of designing your world space, your map, and all that. So yeah, map design is pretty simple in that it doesn't have a lot of knowledge. So we've covered pretty much all knowledge there is about map design almost. However, it is a lot about practice. So yeah, after this, it's just all about practice. So now you have all the tools you need, you have all the knowledge you need to know. There honestly isn't a lot more that you need to know about building. So this should give you the tools that you need. But yeah, so enough rambling already. Yeah, that should be everything for modeling. So I'm just gonna once again create a new game once again. So yeah, we talked about this last time, but yeah, let's call it map design. So I will touch on other aspects of map design, but once again, as I said just before, map design isn't so much about knowledge as, for example, scripting, which we'll talk about later, or UI design. This is more about practice. So yeah, don't expect that many videos about map designs. Right. Oh, I forgot one thing. Challenge. So I decided to start doing these challenges. So at the end of each video, I'm gonna set you a challenge. So this is to ensure that you, the viewer, fully understood what's being said in the video and to give you some sort of practice. So today's challenge for this video is gonna be like build a simple house. So it doesn't have to be too complicated, but also try to doing better than what I just did in my with my house, if you want to call it that. So yeah, if you want to try experimenting with wedges, unioning, and all that. So usually I'll tell the solution in the next video, but here there really isn't any solution. So yeah, create a house, and also if I haven't said it, yeah, I haven't said it before, but following along with these videos can really help. So whenever you see me explaining and doing something, then do the exact same thing and have Roblox Studio open if you have the possibility to do that, because that once again really furthers your understanding. So yeah, challenge is build a simple house. Try using materials, colors. If you can, try using solid modeling. You don't have to. Doesn't have to be like something overly extravagant. But yeah, build a house, and once again, follow along my videos if you can inside Roblox Studio. And now enough rambling from me already. I promise this time. Right, so I'm gonna end this video right here. Thank you for watching. This turned out a bit longer than I expected, but yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.